Hey, how y'all doing? It's Sharonda, and hey, how y'all doing? And I'm here today to give some quick bookish thoughts on One More Valentine by Katrina Jackson. So let's get into this thing, shall we? All right, so this is the second book in her Love at Last series. We are dealing with a divorced couple, y'all, Miles and May, who are best friends with Ezra and Candace, which is the first book in the series. And this story picks up from the tail end of that because finally Ezra and Candace had gotten their shit together, and what we get is Miles, May, and another friend of Candace's, George, who are all being invited to Paris to celebrate these two finally getting their shit together. Okay, so but Miles, May, Candace, and Ezra have been best friends, like this friend group, since college. Miles and Ezra, I believe, were friends since before then. But Miles and May were the first two to get together in college, and they in college had already made the decision that they were going to be together. They were going to be each other's, happily ever after. But now we're here and they are divorced. And it was crazy, the reason for the divorce, but I'm gonna get there. Not crazy, it was crazy in my opinion, to me, but anyway. So when we go inside of this story, like I said, these two have been this divorced couple, who is just trying to navigate life after their divorce. And it is very obvious from reading the story that these two are very much still in love with each other and want to be together. So they're both struggling, okay? And then they get this invite from their friends to come to Paris to celebrate them being, like I said, being together. And it's hard for them. But Miles and May were not going to turn Candace or Ezra down. They were going to be there because everybody, and I mean everybody, was waiting for Candace and Ezra to finally get together. And because they had been friends for so damn long, been there for each other for so damn long, they weren't going to, not, like I said, turn down the trip. So during this story, we see these, like I said, these tense-filled moments between Miles and May, where they're just trying to like navigate each other because they have not seen each other in 3 years. The divorce was 3 years ago. They have not seen or talked to each other or anything like that. So it's just like finally seeing each other and still getting these crazy feelings, these kind of like fuzzy, romantic feelings about each other, and then not being able to talk about the divorce and what happened after the divorce and during the divorce and all these other things. It made it really, really awkward and difficult. And it was good to see on page that we had like this, these kind of like almost, comedic moments with George, who is the other friend that's traveling with them and also in Paris with them. And also like these comedic moments from like, Ezra and Candace as well. Just, to be put in there, I feel like, to just kind of like loosen up this tenseness that is going on between this ex-couple, right? So Miles and May have always, knew that they were going to be together. And, and while I was reading this book, I, in the beginning, I initially thought, okay, I know why they got the divorce, right? They got out of college. They got together, they got together in college. They made that decision right there and there that we was going to have, our happily ever after. But, life started kicking their ass because that's what life tends to do, when you're fresh out of college. You're trying to find jobs, get your financial shit together. Everything's just moving not the way you thought them dreams, was gonna be. But like I said, it kind of sort of was that in a way, but also it was another situation, and that was Miles' fault. But again, I'll get to that. But outside of just general life kicking their ass, one of the things that I loved about this book was the way their families were written. May is Chinese American, and Miles is Black American. So the blending of these two folks together was already, just like a beautiful thing to see on page. But their families, oh my God, the way their families just came together because these two decided to, to be mates and life together was just beautiful. Like, we saw it where, like, May's cousins became Mal cousins, and Mal's cousins became May's cousin. It was just so wonderful to see, like, even their parents were just like the best of friends, you know what I'm saying? Even like Ezra and Candace's parents, like, this whole blending of these different families was just great to see on page. Like, I really, really loved it. Also, content trigger warning, Mal's dad passed when he was really, really young, so it was just his mom raising him. I also love the conversation, and I mention that because that's going to be a key later on down the line. But I love, like, the conversations that we got on page between Miles and his mom, and May and her parents, especially her mom, because her mother was not playing with her, okay? You could tell that her father just tended to baby her a lot, but her mother was like, girl, get off my goddamn phone. But anyway, I love, like, the conversations that we had on page, between the parents and their children, even as adults. Like, you guys gonna have to get this together. Like, we're stepping out of this, and you guys gonna have to, get it together. Something's gonna have to happen with y'all. But again, love the family dynamics inside of this book. Far as the couple itself, Miles and May are two complicated people to get to know on page, okay? Miles, I feel like a whole lot more than May. I start off with Miles. Another thing that I loved about this book, I'll say another thing that I loved about this book, and probably the most thing that I loved about the book, was the intros of Miles' journal entries in this book. I loved that we got his journal entries. And because after the divorce, Miles sought therapy, and his therapist told him to, if you can't talk it out, write it down in your journal, basically, right? And that's what he did. And it was like he was writing these letters to May. So all these things that he could not say to her, at the time of the divorce, during the divorce, and after the divorce, we're getting these journal entries of his feelings to May on page. I love that. And I love that Miles was a very emotional character. And not like emotional in like a loose and wild and crazy way. What I mean by that is I love seeing this emergence of emotional men, Black men especially, who are able to be on page and be emotional about their feelings, like just cry. We saw Miles' closeness with his mom and how he kind of like revered this woman, okay? And we saw the closeness he had with one of his uncles and just his family in general, right? Like, I love that about Miles. But I loved him being like this really just beautiful, emotionally written character. Like, anytime anything moved him to cry, the man would cry. And I was just like, oh my God, I love that. May was a complication a lot for me because I feel like, and it was Miles' fault, the divorce, but May tended to not talk, right? May tended to run. May didn't strike me as a confrontational person. So instead of her just like talking to Miles and standing her ground with Miles in some things, sometimes she just tended to go inward on herself and just not have a conversation at all. So we saw a lot of this, like once they was on the airplane, at the airport, even in Paris, we saw a lot of this shit between them on page. And I say they're both complicated characters, which makes the story itself complicated because, in my opinion, it also made it very realistically written, right? We got this, in my opinion, this kind of like true to life situation you know, going on between this divorced couple. And because you just knew as a reader that these two were very much still in love with each other, that everything with them was just gonna be like, oh my God, like them just trying to like navigate each other while still being in love with each other and not really wanting a divorce, especially May, because May literally begged Miles not to divorce her, and he did, which is fucking crazy, you know what I'm saying? But you know, just seeing them, reading them, you know, just trying to navigate one another while trying to like deal with these emotions. You know, May is just like, does he still love me? Does he still want to be with me? Because I want to be with him, but I don't know what's going on with him and all this other stuff. It was just so realistically read it. And that is one of the things that I love about Katrina Jackson's writings. I just think she just makes these very real to life, complicated characters, because you know, you can either love them by the end or hate them by the end, you know what I'm saying? But you're just gonna feel something reading her stories, because she just does a very good job of giving us these emotionally complicated written characters, and I love that. Because I think that just makes the story, for me, it makes the story just much more interesting. It makes me much more invested, because I want to hurry up and get to the end, because I'm just like, what the hell is going on? But anyway, let's get to the reason of the divorce. I ain't gonna tell y'all like the whole reason why, but I'm just gonna, the reason why, when they finally got to the conversation of, you know, May kind of like demanding of Miles, like, you know, why'd you leave me? Why'd you divorce me? All these things. And child, the reason he gave her, when May told him to get out of her room, her hotel room, I felt that. I felt that deep down, because I was like, yes, May, tell him to get the fuck out. Because sir, what are you doing? And it's not like you're not able to understand as a reader why Miles did what he did, you know, even though it was misguided, in my opinion, stupid. But it was just like, what? You know? But I love that Candace held May accountable, right? Because Candace is like, yo, girl, listen, my friend. You wanted to know the reason about, yes, it was stupid, a little bit misguided, you know what I'm saying? He gave you the reason. What you want to do? I love that Candace was that type of friend, because Candace was like, what you want to do? I ain't going to get up in your business. I ain't going to tell you what to do. But what I'm going to tell you is, you being ridiculous right now. You're being goddamn ridiculous, okay? It was crazy. And even when they had kind of like this kind of like made up moment in Paris, and I'm just like, oh my God, we at the end of the light, we see the goddamn, you know, we at the end of the tunnel, we see the goddamn light. And when Miles didn't give, kind of sort of didn't give May, in my opinion, what she wanted or what she wanted to hear, boy, when she stormed off, I was like, oh God damn it, May, like what the fuck? That's when Candace had to put her foot down. Candace was like, girl, you're doing too much. Like, come on. And like Candace told her, like, you tend to run instead of talking. And you have to stop doing this. This is why y'all shit is fucked up, if you want to be honest. You know what I'm saying? But, and like even, like, I just love that Candace and Ezra was those type of friends. Because, you know, you do have friends sometimes that are just like, oh, you know, they're kind of like pushy. But I love that Candace and Ezra was just kind of like stood in the background. They talked to them when they needed, you know, when they needed the conversations, when they needed to be talked to. They gave them, you know, the advice that they wanted to give them, whatever. But they never pushed Miles and May to forcefully get back together. You know what I'm saying? Even though they knew, like, they belong together, you know what I'm saying? So I love that Ezra and Candace were those kind of friends. And but Miles, oh my God, Miles. When I tell y'all, when he told, so Miles, the death of Miles' father ties directly into the reason why he divorced May. And although I understood it, like I said, it was very misguided and just very just like, and but you just knew that this man loved this woman so much that he just did not want to hurt her in any kind of way. And because he felt that way, he just thought that, you know what I'm saying, let me just leave her, you know, because I ain't trying to hurt her any kind of way. Like, yeah, it's going to tear me up too. I ain't going to be able to move in life the way I want to move anymore. You know what I'm saying? Not exactly, you know, as far as love relationships go or whatever. But, you know, I got to make sure she's happy. And I was just like, Jesus fucking Christ, Miles. It was crazy. But at the end of it all, I think this was just a very well done story. I loved just seeing the complications of Miles and May on page, and just seeing them, just like I said earlier, just seeing them kind of like navigate, you know, this life after divorce, and finally being in each other's space after 3 years, and just trying to like get around that, have the necessary conversations. I love that May finally stood up for herself at the end, when she finally told Miles, like, you know what, no more of this shit right here, right? No more of this shit right here. We're going to go get goddamn therapy. We're gonna get back together, okay? That's one, man, okay? That's one. We're gonna get back together and we're gonna go get some therapy. We're gonna talk. Nobody's gonna sit up here and run away from anybody anymore. Not me, not you, not nothing. I was like, yes, May, stand the fuck up, girl. Stand up. Go get your man, okay? Get it together. The other thing that I loved about this book was the flashbacks. We got flashbacks of Miles, the progression of this relationship. We got flashbacks from them in college, you know, when they first got out of college and they moved in together. But I love that we got the flashback, because it does give us kind of like an insight of these two in this relationship that has been going on between them for a very long time. And this is how you know, like as a reader, that these two just belong together. But you know, at the end of it all, I really enjoyed this book. I love seeing Candace and Ezra on page again after so long. And yeah, so if you are a reader that just loves, like, you know, emotional, complicated, very romantic, you know, stories that, you know, revolve around, you know, couples that are just trying to get it right, get it back together, then I definitely say add One More Valentine to your reading list. It's a very enjoyable book. Okay, and that is it for me, and until the next one, later days. Bye.